Hey, Danny.
Hey, Alice, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
It's great to talk to you. I've been listening to you all afternoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just wrapped up Special Forces.
Oh, wow, that's a hard one to find.
Yeah, I found that a few years ago, and I didn't know about it, and I was like, what is this, and then...
Yeah, it was one of my blackout albums.
What, can you...
There were three albums that I don't remember writing, recording, or touring with, and that was one of them.
Mm-hmm. So that was in the midst of your...
It ends up being the Alice Cooper, the real Alice Cooper fans. That's always their three favorite albums.
That's one of their three favorite albums?
Yeah, it's just because it's so weird,
Yeah.
The three albums. That one, Zipper Catch a Skin, and Dada.
Uh-huh.
I like the three albums that are just bizarre as all heck.
Yeah, Dada is really not a typical Alice Cooper record, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
But that was a Bob Ezrin album, so, which is unusual because Bob did, $1 Billion Babies and School's Out, Welcome to My Nightmare. He did all of the gigantic albums for us. And then this was sort of at the end of my drinking career.
Yeah.
So it was just bizarre. Some of the songs like, Formerly Warmer, and, that was a song that I don't even listen to in the dark by myself.
So what about like that era, that period of time? I mean, do you not like to revisit those records? Because they're not...
No. I even had a thought of going back. I mean, I kind of look at my, right after that, I think it was 81 is when I quit drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the hospital and did the whole thing. And so it's been 32 years now without a drink. I go back and find that era pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Because I listen to some of the songs and I go, geez, this is really good. I wish I would have spent the time to record this better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So some of those songs, I almost have this idea of going back in and picking out 4 songs from each album that were really, really worth going and re-recording again, in the studio now with the Bob Ezrin and all the, the musicians that I would have now.
Yeah.
Because I still think the songs were good. I just don't think that I had, I just didn't spend enough time on them,
Well, and I think listening to them now, they sound really dated because of the production. There's like a lot of synthesizers on there, and I think at the time you maybe were trying to go for like the new wave sound a little bit. I'm sure that was kind of popular.
Well, it depended on what producer you had. It depended on what producer you had. If you had a producer from that era, I think I was just writing songs, going in the studio, and not really, when you work with a Bob Ezrin or a David Foster or, a producer like that,
mm-hmm.
you don't get away with just doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
This was a period when I was just getting away with doing anything I wanted to do,
mm-hmm.
And in some ways I enjoyed that,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because like I said, the songwriting, I don't think there was bad songwriting. I just think it was, I didn't have any concept of the production on it.
Yeah. Were you kind of a loose cannon then, and they kind of had to work
way loose, yeah.
And they had to kind of work with what they had, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was, and I listen to the vocals, and I go, geez, the vocals are good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hitting all the notes, and the lyric writing is good, and all that.
Yeah.
It's just that it wasn't in the hands of a guy that could really make it come alive.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't in the hands of a guy that could listen to it and say, oh, I know what to do with this to make it really work like School's Out or $1 Billion Babies or
mm-hmm.
Love It to Death or one of those big albums,
And so when you tour, like now, I mean, I know like some bands, I look at some of the set lists, like a band like Kiss is playing, they play it pretty safe. I think, they definitely, and certainly you probably hit all the hits that people are expecting to hear.
You have to do most of your hits, yeah.
Yeah. But okay, is there certain songs you would love to play but just don't think would go over so well live anymore? Or
we still do that,
Mm-hmm.
I still kind of, even though it's a set show, And we write the show from beginning to end as a concept.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like the show that we're going to be doing there is like in three parts.
Wow.
It's like the beginning of the show is just glitz and glam and pure Alice.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, big show, you know, all the hits up front. And then it goes into the Alice Nightmare section.
Yeah.
And that takes on a whole new thing, you know, with, you know, Welcome to My Nightmare, Go to Hell, Devil's Food, Dwight Fry, Feed My Frankenstein. You know, the real theatrical thing happens there.
Yeah.
And then we go into a third part of the show, which is All My Dead Drunk Friends, which is sort of raising the dead. We take 4 friends of ours that we used to drink with, John Lennon, Keith Moon, Jimi Hendrix, and Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
And we go into the graveyard, and we do a song from each of those guys, which is something that generally a big band like Alice Cooper doesn't usually do 4 covers in a row. But it's conceptual. It's the idea of Alice, you know, just got his head cut off. They roll him on a gurney into the graveyard, and then, of course, he wakes up, and he ends up doing Jim Morrison and John Lennon, Keith Moon, and all the gravestones are there, and you know, and the audience loves it.
Yeah, and it's music everybody knows, and it's a real tribute to something, you know, music that's really important to people.
And generally, you don't see an Ozzy or a Aerosmith or anybody like that doing a full section of songs like that kind of like represent our dead drunk friends.
Yeah.
You know?
So, and what's your favorite?
And I can call them that because I used to drink with these guys. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know.
What's your favorite dead drunk friend story? What can you share with people that wouldn't make them roll over in their grave right now for many of those guys?
Well, we used to open for the Doors.
Yeah.
You know, back before we were big at all. But they were friends of the Doors, so they took us out. And at one point, Robbie Krieger tells me this story all the time. We were in a theater in Portland, and during the sound check, you know, one of the old theaters with the balconies and all that, Jim and I are hanging from the balcony to see who can hold on the longest. And at one point, you're holding on with one arm with a bottle in the other arm.
Yeah.
And everybody gets there, and of course they all get under us or trying to pull us up. But it was a badge of honor to see which one could hold on the longest.
Yeah.
You know, I have no idea what we were thinking. You know, I mean, what are you thinking?
You weren't.
No. You know, well, I bet I can hold on longer than you. Oh, yeah?
Oh, my God. That's ridiculous. And
yeah, it's totally stupid. I mean, you know, but, you know, when you're 22 years old, you're indestructible. So if we would have fallen, we would have just bounced, you know.
So that begs the question, why is Alice still alive? I mean, you've probably got pretty close to many different occasions where, you know...
especially with alcohol, you know. I mean, it's like, I probably had, my doctor said I had maybe, you know, a month. He says, if you want to keep going the way you're going, he says you're going to join Jimmy and Jim and Janice and all, you know, the whole gang, you know, and okay, just understand that.
Right.
You know, and at that point I was waking up in the morning and throwing up blood, you know.
Yeah.
And that was not a good sign.
Yeah.
So the next thing you know, I was in the hospital, and I decided now I would rather separate myself from Alice. And sort of, that's something that Jim couldn't do. That was something that Jimmy couldn't do. That was something that all those guys that died at 27 felt that they had to be that character all the time.
Yeah.
And I've even had a talk with Manson about this, you know, where I said, look, you know, at some point you're going to have to detach from the character and live your own life and then be that character that night. Or in the studio, or on television, or in the movie. You know, it's fun to play that character. Yeah. But the older you get, the harder it is to maintain that character without alcohol or heavy drugs.
That's interesting. So you kind of, I mean, I would say you almost had a luxury in being able to really separate your own self from your character. But that must have been a really hard thing to navigate,
You know, really,
confront.
When I got sober, I suddenly, it was pretty easy to figure out.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy to figure out, well, why do I have to put the makeup on every time I go out?
Yeah.
Why do I have to wear a black leather every time I go out?
Yeah.
Why can't I, I started at that point when I finally did get that together in my head that I play Alice Cooper. I don't have to be Alice Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Then I really enjoyed playing Alice Cooper.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I could really enjoy it,
Yeah.
I could look forward to it every night.
Yeah.
Whereas getting up in the morning and going, okay, I've got to go there, and I can't play golf because Alice wouldn't do that, and I can't go to the movies because Alice wouldn't do that, and I can't get married because Alice wouldn't do that,
Yeah.
and I can't have kids because, there were so many limitations on being this character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I finally just went, heck with that. I'm going to live then I started doing Johnny Carson show.
Mm-hmm.
Not as Alice.
Right.
But sort of without the makeup, and people found out that I could actually go on and get laughs.
Yeah.
I could sit there and talk with those guys, and they didn't realize I was actually a friar. I mean, the Jack Benny's and the Groucho Marxes of the world actually put me in the Friars Club.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So it was great, So I mean, I did have two personalities.
Yeah. And you kind of still maintain the different personalities. What do you like about playing Alice now? Is it the crowd, just the reaction you get, or is it just something you're still building on?
Now Alice is a mythical character.
Yeah.
Now Alice is woven into Americana.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like he's like the Headless Horseman or Jack the Ripper or any mythical character.
Yeah.
And people come to see Alice, and I don't think what they're expecting is the energy in the show. I think they're expecting it to be sort of like walking through it and doing that. It's anything but that.
Yeah.
I mean, we challenge any band out there. I don't care if they're 20 years old to do as much energy on stage as we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I go out there and do 28 songs.
Yeah.
And my band is probably the best touring band out there right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we just blow the audience away every night musically.
Yeah.
So I've never felt better in my life. I mean, I'm 65, and I guess my body hasn't figured out that I'm 65 because. Yeah, I feel like I'm 30.
Yeah. You still. I mean, I think the time I'd seen you a few years ago I was really impressed. I think sometimes these older veteran kind of shows, you never know what to expect, and I mean, I was just blown away.
Sometimes you get there and you go, that can't be him. He weighs 280 pounds. I was very, very lucky to have maintained my weight, my hair.
Yeah.
Certainly my sanity and my sense of humor behind it, and that really has a lot to do with it. And you have to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
I will be the last person to ever turn around and say, turn that down.
Right. Yeah.
I'm the guy that turns to the audience, turns to the band, and goes, "Give me more volume."
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I want to hear that big Pete Townsend power chord.
Yeah.
And I want to hear, I have never lost my love for that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Just telling me I have time for one more question. So.
Yeah, sure. I was going to just say, if you had anything to say about Minneapolis, I mean, I think this is one of the towns you're doing 2 sold-out shows already. So is there anything you want to say about the city?
That's really great. I mean, normally, we do one show and get out of town before they realize what hit them.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be there for the next night.
Yeah.
And what's good about that is I think the word of mouth, when people see the first show, then the next day that's what they talk about. I can't believe that they did that and that and that and that and that.
Yeah.
So the next show, it kind of sets up the next show. Mm-hmm. So, and some people come back.
Yeah.
They come back for 2 shows.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the Midwest, when we're only like 100 miles or 200 miles apart, we'll see the same people in the front rows 4 nights in a row.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool.
And I'll go, wow, this is crazy. They're traveling around.
Yeah.
And they've seen the show already. So it'll be fun. The Midwest audiences are always the best.
Yeah. Will you get some golfing in
that's
town?
That's the Hard Rock.
Will you get some golfing
done? That's the Hard Rock audience.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll spend some time in the city a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And especially if the weather's good, we play golf every morning.
Yeah, there's a lot of good golfing here. Well, finally, this is a little selfish, but I was going to just see if you would say hi to my friend Julie for her answering machine. If you could give her an answering machine message, just like Julie's not home, that kind of deal.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Julie's not home. This is Alice Cooper, her houseboy. I'll be taking the calls today. She should be back anytime. I think she's into some sort of guerrilla warfare tactics or something. I don't know what she does when she leaves.
All right, perfect. Thanks a lot, Alice. Really looking forward to seeing you.
Okay.
All right, thanks, buddy.